right? So we know this. But in
What
order to then change that, do we not have to build that muscle?
what you
And we only
said,
build that muscle by working it out,
what you
right?
just said is part of the problem. We got to change that narrative of accepting it as normal. We have to be
Right, but I said that 40 minutes ago and y'all told me I was
no,
crazy.
no. But what I'm saying is the normal point of you saying, "Oh, that's just how women are." No, that's what
No, I said that to lead into my
right.
question, right? Because most people will say the reason I don't tell women the truth is because women can't handle it, right? So I was just kind of putting the elephant in the room out there. I think that most women can't handle it because one, we operate in not wanting to know, and men also coddle us in that innocence.
And to your
Okay, we're gonna stop there. I didn't get to answer it, but she made a couple of points that I definitely want to tackle, and I want to ask you about. And anyone who wants to join us, I want to ask you too. Okay, so she said that um, a lot of women don't like uh, uh, hearing the truth. I'm not quoting her,
Mhm.
and I'm curious. Do you agree with that? As a woman, what do you feel about women and embracing the truth?
Um, I think I think people appreciate the truth, but we want to augment it a little bit to fit our situation, or we want to fit, what we want to do, our agenda, to a certain part of the truth, so we'll cherry pick and say, um okay, we'll say the sky is blue, and we might attach, okay, the sky may be blue, and another person's like, well, what is the sky? So we'll augment it to kind of make it a truth of our own. So yeah, maybe we don't like
Make it
it.
a truth of your own. Wow. Okay, well, let's finish hearing what else she had to say. But that's an interesting point. Make it a truth of your own. Because I agree, you guys do make it a truth of your own. But we won't get into what I feel about your truths. But we'll go ahead and finish. Allow.
that I was making earlier, as far as men being able to do it and exercising. A lot of men conveniently don't want to do it because they just want to manipulate to get into the panties, and they sitting there acting like that is something different than that. They ain't trying to make you a wife. They're not trying to make you something or honorable, and that they used to call it back in the day. They're trying to get in your panties, and they ain't admitting to that. So yes, you're right. They're not coddling to it. They're just manipulating you, and you're falling for the manipulation because they know your weakness and they're using it against you.
Okay, so who spins first? I ask this question in every room I'm in
So
because at some point somebody is going to have to make a move first. So is it men or is it women? Who's
Well,
going to be first?
I think that we both make. I think men are making moves, but when we're making the moves, y'all not moving with us.
right.
Y'all sit
Um,
back
mm,
people. I'm trying to share with you. We're blunt and honest, and that's a move that we're making to be blunt and honest with you, and you don't like that,
but I
and
would
you want to
also venture to say that y'all don't like the response given either, right?
again
Because
because
you're being
the response
blunt, you're
is
being
mature.
honest.
Okay, we're about to get into to a deep, but I want to rewind a little because I said something there that I just wanted to say again, and I'm gonna play it back, but I said something there that I want to elaborate on.
Most women can't handle it because one, we operate in not wanting to know, and men also coddle us in that innocence.
And to your point, that was the point that I was making earlier, as far as men being able to do it and exercising. A lot of men conveniently don't want to do it because they just want to manipulate to get into the panties, and they sitting there acting like that is something different than that. They ain't trying to make you a wife. They're not trying to make you something or honorable, and that they used to call it back in the day. They're trying to get in your panties, and they ain't admitting to that. So yes, you're right. They're not coddling to it. They're just manipulating you, and you're falling for the manipulation because they know your weakness and they're using it against you.
Okay, so who spins first?
Ooh,
I ask this
so
question in every room I
with that
say
there, hold
because at
on, hold
some
on, hold
point
on. I got
somebody is going to have to
the
make a move
section.
first. So is
Okay.
it men or is
Oh,
it women? Who's
Well,
going to be first?
I think that we both make. I think men are making moves, but when we
okay. So back to us. All right. Now, do you believe that men are doing things to manipulate women to be able to get into their panties? I can't hear you.
Sorry. I know that people do it.
Well, as a man,
And
and
maybe not intentionally, but if you allow it, then hey.
yeah, as a man, and when I get to this position, I'm a panderer, so I'll take my pandering title right now. As a man, men are often manipulative to get the panties. Men play games to get the panties. Men sit there and condone games that are being played because they feel like it's okay. And I happen to question that, and that's why this show is about the truth.
Oh,
Because men don't often like to speak the truth because it's easier to get into the panties. I once said to an ex of mine, we would have had a much better relationship if I would have just told you what you wanted to hear or lied to you. And I said that on your podcast last night, and it's coming up, but I just want to reiterate that.
yeah.
And when
Mhm.
I said it, she didn't embrace it too well. She wanted to deny it. She was like, nah, but the truth is that I could have easily said things that I knew would have made her, uh, uh, you know, feel better, would have made her enjoy the circumstances. But I chose to tell her the truth. And I found where I'm loyal to the truth, even it condemns me. It condemned me. I was sitting there and I had to really face the consequences of the truth that I told. And I'm not going into specifics, but there was several times where I told the truth and I was condemned for the truth by the lady who I love
Mm.
because she didn't want to hear it. It hurt her feelings. It
Mhm.
might not have been the tone. It might not have been the delivery. So
Mhm.
help me out on this. I want to hear what you feel.
Hopefully, I can try to chime in because it's hard when you like try to learn and be better and not like react a certain way anymore, and you like recondition yourself to not being like how your ex was. Um, some people, I learned about a word called cognitive dissonance from a guy that played me, right?
Explain.
And I'm like, what does that mean? So I was really offended. And it's like, we built these walls, we built these worlds, we built these theories, we built these notions, we built these personal truths in our own head. And it works for us. It works for our situation. If we tell it to the people that coddle us or simp for us, they're down for it. But when somebody brings something else, the truth, or make us or challenges our perception or challenges our point of view, it's sometimes it's not well received and we don't know how to react to it. So the first reaction is defense. The first reaction is you don't know what you're talking about, you know, and maybe later we'll get it, but when something else is presented, it's definitely off-putting, and we sit in that for a while because our world has just been torn down. You know, some people like me, when I learned about Christopher Columbus when I was in middle school, I was like, "Oh my goodness, Christopher Columbus Day. We're gonna have the day off, yeah." And my teacher was a black man and he was very, pro-black. He was like, Christopher Columbus raped and pillaged people. And I'm like, what? How dare? What are you talking about? This is Christopher Columbus. He had the Mayflower. How could he do such a thing? So it was like, it just turned everything upside down. So it was either I was going to grasp onto it or grasp onto my truth. You know what I'm saying? Or make reason with it. So some people, they have a hard time reasoning with it.
So, lends to the point of question, and I'm going to type that into the and if we have any comments. Can you handle the truth? Let's finish playing the video because she actually touched on it. I'm not going to interrupt it. I'm going to let it go ahead and run through. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the video that linked to this conversation and why we're having it. On the White School podcast last night, we had a conversation and we were talking with two other people, and here's the dialogue.
Not moving with us.
Right.
Yes, back to the people. I'm trying to share with you. We're blunt and honest, and that's a move that we're making, to be blunt and honest with you, and you don't like that.
But I
And
would
you want to
also venture to say that y'all don't like the response given either.
again,
Right? Because
because
you're being
the response
blunt, you're
is
being
immature,
honest, and then you want us to meet you
because
with
this
logic.
response. You're right, because the response is immature emotionally, and it's reckless. So change that response. We're being honest with you. Learn how to, as you said, it might be a muscle, might take some practice, but learn how to control your emotions. We have to do it. Learn how to control your emotions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm controlling mine right now, so I'm gonna.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it starts.
Yep.
I've just heard so many times that the men say that, sometimes we have to listen to understand, and sometimes that, I don't know, I guess we want to micromanage things or micromanage men. But like all the things that Sean has said and Blue has said, it's like they understand from a man's perspective. So we can't discount what they say because
No,
we don't. Go ahead, love.
no, I'm saying I agree. I agree
Yeah.
with you.
So it's hard for us to swallow that pill, but that's just our emotional side welling up inside of us. And we haven't tapped so much into the logical side. That's why I love surrounding myself with men that have wisdom, and not just any man, good quality men that can give you insight and it helps you navigate better. Even if you found a man and you guys got together, whatever, just because you have quality men around you, you know how to talk to men better, you know how to operate, you know how to respect better. And the things that they say, you may think that, okay, he's not really saying it in that way, but okay, let me listen. Then I have to process it and then come back with a response, but not a reaction. You know what I'm saying? So now I know how to, actualize the truth that he just spoke, even though it was direct, even though I didn't like what he said, but I can come back in a respectful manner and still give that man the respect that he is looking and seeking for. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. I tried to let it go all the way through, but man, you was dropping such jewels right there that I wanted to get back to speak on it. So can you elaborate on what you meant by that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm telling you, was I always like this, or did I always slow down in my thinking? No. Um, as I People may or may not know that reason why I started the Wife School podcast is just basically based on the things I did wrong. You know, um, I'm not married, so I have to come from that point of view. Like, so you can't look at me being married. So look at me what I did and taking accountability of what I did in the marriage to contribute. And I'm very transparent with that because sometimes I would just pop off at the mouth. And even though I was right, was it really, worth it to make, my ex-husband feel like crap or emasculated? You know what I'm saying? No, I I should have just took a breath, reworded it in a different way, or seek a different solution where we both can move forward or fix whatever the problem that we had. And I learned from that, like,
And what is it
heavily.
that you learned? Did you learn to, you said you learned to be a little bit more, I'm not quoting you, but a little bit more patient, a little bit more tolerable to some of the things that, let me not ask, what did you learn? Let me ask, what triggered you? What hurt your feelings? Or what made you, like you said,
Mhm.
mouth off or whatever, what made you do that?
um Mainly because of the things he was doing that was inconsistent. Maybe I was just upset, maybe resentful, because okay, maybe he didn't have certain skills and I didn't, probably some form of resentment formed because I wanted to be further along, in things, and it just wasn't getting there. So it was like maybe I was overstepping my boundaries, trying to lead in a way or make suggestions that are in front of him. So it just probably was a lot of resentment, and the resentment turned into the snappy Stephanie.
Ladies, I want you to hear that because I really know a lot of ladies, and this is one thing that I continuously bring to their attention: the resentment, the bitterness, the hardened heart. I'll say that again: the resentment, the bitterness, and the hardened heart. There's a hardened heart that seems to happen pretty often when you get your feelings hurt. Like you can't let it go. Sahel, Lady Navoa, how are you both? You can't let it go. And I question that because, like I said in that video, learn how to control your emotions instead of allowing your emotion to control you. And what I meant by that is that in those moments, like you just described, where you are triggered, and I hate that word right now, but I'm going to use it, where you are triggered, uh, learn one, what are the things that trigger you? So therefore, you can start working on better handling when you're triggered, better handling it to where you don't allow it to go escalate into a place. Because, quite frankly, when we're telling you certain things as a man and we're being honest with you, we're being constructive. But a lot of times, your pride does not allow you to receive that constructiveness.
Hey, I have pride. I'm a 10. I have a PhD, so I'm smart, okay? Let my pride run free.
And the funny thing is, the truth is, and I'm going to emphasize that word truth all night long. The truth is, a lot of women actually feel that way. A lot of women, and I said it on the here. We're going to play the video again because I don't remember everything that I said, but I think some of the things that I'm about to say might have been said on this video. But we spoke on a couple of videos, so it might not be this one. It might have been another one. But either way, I'm going to say it if I didn't say that, and I'm going to let it play to see if I said it in this one. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go back to the video of last night. This is Straight Talk, Lisa Straight Understanding, but we're looking at a clip from the Wife School podcast where we were having a discussion last night, what led into this topic The truth. Can you handle the truth?
Emotional response that we tend to lean
I
on.
agree. I think, we have to do more of that. Like when I think about like my own, you know, dating situation, like when I meet it with logic, because they're not used to it, it's like, ooh,
Okay.
I don't know what to do with this. She's not coming at me all with the rah rah. I don't know what to do with this. And so for me, it still leaves me kind of at the precarious situation of, but I'm doing all the things that men have said they want women to do, and
Mhm.
yet it's still like, oh, well, hold on, I don't trust it. you know.
Mm.
So for as much as they want us to trust them, it's like, when is it reciprocated?
Okay. Hold on. I only got 20 seconds. Do you guys mind coming back and discussing that
I'll
reciprocation?
let somebody else cam up, but I'll be in the comments.
And that's fine.
It is.
Okay. Now, that's where we ended it. And that is right. I'm glad we did end it there because it was going in the direction of, she said that most men don't like to handle truth. Now, I'm going to say some of the things that I didn't get a chance to say on this video that you just watched. But it resonates in my heart pretty significantly regarding this. Can you handle the truth? She said that she usually handles the truth and can handle the truth, except she wanted it when she asked for it. She said, when I ask for the truth, I have already prepared myself to receive it and I can handle it. And I pushed back a little and I said, that's another issue, because you have conditions on how you want to receive the truth. And then she made mention that, okay, well, there's reasons for that, because I want to be able to control myself. And I went right back to what I reverted to. Control your emotions. Yeah, you're right. You need to control your emotions. And that's the thing that we laugh at Mr. Let Go when he says women are children. That's the thing that I can't dispute, because he always shows me videos and he handles his point of a woman having a temper tantrum in other ways because she's not getting her way, because she heard the truth and it hurt her and she didn't like what the truth was, so she gets angry and shows out. I'll give you in one of my exes, one of my relationships, long time ago, the truth is that we weren't in a relationship because I didn't want to commit as of yet. So then when I finally got up the nerve or the courage to say, all right, I want to commit, I said, all right, here's how we're going to start it. Said, you can ask me whatever you want. And we're going to now just have a very, because I'd never lied to her, but I just omitted or didn't or avoided or dismissed when being questioned, because we weren't in a relationship like that or a committed relationship, and I didn't feel I needed to. Again, I was young. So after that, I said, all right, here's what we're going to do. You can ask me whatever you want. All I ask of you is to be able to handle the answer. All right. First question. Did you mess with anybody else? Yeah, I did. Flips out. And I'm like, and it goes back to that adage. I'm using this story to say, can you handle the truth? I we laid it out there. I said, all right, this is what we're going to do. Leading as a relationship, as you say, you want a man to lead. I'm sitting there about to get into this relationship, and this is how I'm leading it. Let's start with the truth. And I started there, and she couldn't handle it, and she flipped out. Albeit she was young, so I give her that. We were both young, but nonetheless, she couldn't handle the truth, and that at that point left a stigma in my head to not want to always engage in telling the truth. As I said earlier, I told one of my exes after that we would have had a much better relationship if I just told you what you wanted to hear or lied to you. And she didn't like that truth either. You're on mute.
I'm letting you tell your story. I'm like, yeah.
So, with that being said,
Well, look, Sean, also, when I was dating my ex-husband, and so I'm like, oh, I am into this guy. I'm just gonna tell him my whole past, because that's what you do when you're in love. You just tell everybody everything, and just get it all out there because you love them and you're professing. Oh my God. Like you said, it just it backfired on me, because I think, and I've heard multiple times, if a man hears that you've interacted with other men, they just can't get rid of that thought out of their head.
woo, good segue.
And I did that, and I was like, yeah, I told him, I was like, yeah, I was with Sean, not your Sean, my Sean. And he went crazy. Like that little lovey-dovey thing. He was like, oh, he couldn't handle it. He was young. We were just young and everything, but he was younger than me. He was 4 years younger than me. So that was just, I wasn't prepared for like his reaction. I was like, why is this guy acting crazy? I'm trying to calm him down and everything. And there was just that undercurrent that whole time of us being married and everything. And so when I asked him when he stepped out, oh, you were mean. Okay, fine. Oh, that was hard to hear. And then I was like, okay, fine. And then later on, I was like, well, you never gave me a chance to, make it up to you and, fix our marriage. He's like, well, I thought you were still in love with Sean. I'm still in love with Sean when we're having kids and we're living our lives. How do I have time to even do this? But he brought it back up 10 plus years later.
And guess what? Segues into a perfect thing. Can you handle the truth? Now I'm being a panderer. Men, can you handle the truth? Because a lot of men talk about, want to posture like I want to tell the truth, but men can't handle it either. So let's get into that. Men who can't handle the truth. Men who like this saying. I'm going to type this saying in. As I said it earlier, I'm going to type it in. I'm going to say it first. When what I don't know won't hurt me, I'd rather not know. These are the attitudes that both men and women take when they can't handle the truth. And truth is, you can't handle it. As a man, you can't handle it. And as a woman, you can't handle it. And why can't you just say that so that we then can at least, if we're trying to have a relationship or we're trying to have it move forward, we can at least understand that and set those boundaries in our relationship. Because men, you are guilty of it too. And I'm so tired of hearing men to act like they can handle whatever. And now, I don't care. No, that hurts at times. I've been told the truth, and I said it like this to some of my exes. It actually, when I proposed, she didn't understand it, right? Because we weren't on the best of terms. But that's when she opened up the most to me. She opened up to the point she said things, and I tell her all the time, you said things that I really didn't even want to hear.
Oh, and that's what I did.
I said to her, yo, you said things that I didn't want to hear, but it grew me closer to you because it was the first time that I felt that you were being 100% honest to me. Wow. And that to me is what had me a little reluctant, because I kept finding things out, and I don't like finding things out.
But you don't like surprises?
It's not a surprise, because I love surprises. On one hand, I love you if it's a good surprise and you're surprising me with consideration and things that you think will make me happy. I don't like the surprise of finding something out that you could have told me. We're laying in the same bed. And this is what happened with her, with one of my exes. and we were laying in the same bed, yet we were disconnected. And I shared that with her. And I then, when I shared that with her, she was like, all right, whatever. And I went out on a relationship. And my thing was, I told you we were disconnected. You acted nonchalantly about it, like it didn't matter to you. And I'm
Right.
like, okay, if it don't matter, then I guess this connection is we're going to just be disconnected. And because we didn't wasn't technically in a
Mhm.
relationship that we
Right.
had clearly defined, which was both
Right.
of our faults, um, I didn't feel like I was doing anything deceptive because I felt,
Yeah.
yo, our disconnection, you have the right to go and see who you want, and I have the same right.
Right.
Unfortunately, she didn't see it the same way. But I say all that to say is that we were disconnected, even though we were together and we were right next to each other.
And that's the state of the situationship. That's where that comes from. You know what I'm saying? Like, probably, like you said, people not one or two parties are not willing to commit, but find the convenience of each other comfortable and, things like that. And ugh. But I can appreciate that. Like when there's a disconnect, it's like people are gonna seek it other place. Just like my husband saying that I was mean, he more than often is gonna go to somebody that's treating him nice. Or your man will go to somebody that's giving him what you're disconnecting in your relationship. And
Absolutely. And I say that because when these disconnections are, this is why you know, say the truth is so important because one, yeah, you have to be able to handle it. Both men and women, you have to be able to handle it because a lot of times we are not fit or adjusted to handle it. And we rather dismiss it, discard it, disguise it, and do all of these other things instead of just facing it. And
yeah,
to the point of what I was getting at is a lot of people like to take the route of what I don't know won't hurt me. Well, if
ignorance
you
is bliss.
find out, huh? What was
Ignorance
that?
is bliss.
Ignorance is bliss, yeah, and that
Mhm.
blissful feeling, that happy feeling of because you're
Mhm.
ignorant to it is the most ignorant thing to me. And that's my opinion. I just feel like, yo, you rather be ignorant to something just to feel happy than
And
be
even when you said that last week when we had started these conversation, the person took the word that you said, ignorant, even got mad at that. So she couldn't accept the truth of not saying that she's ignorant, but the ignorance that's being present. You know what I'm saying? Like the ignorance in her
she didn't
understanding
want
of
to hear it.
it.
And I said, because you don't know it, that makes you ignorant. And she said, you called me ignorant. And I was like,
Yeah.
no. I said, you said you didn't want to hear it, that you didn't take the time and you didn't know, and it didn't matter. And I'm like, what you don't know is what they call ignorance.
Right.
When you don't know
She got
something, that's what you
mad.
got mad and said that I was calling her ignorant, which I wasn't. I was just saying, if you are taking pride in not knowing something because you're really trying to deflect hurt, vulnerability, and pain. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the problem. You're trying to deflect hurt, vulnerability, and pain. And another person, if you're in love, can definitely, Mr. He said, what's up? Can
He
definitely hurt. If you are in love, you can definitely get hurt. Thank you.
Oh
Thank you.
yeah.
And that's one of the things that I think a lot of people, men and women both, try to disguise. They don't want to get hurt. And
Nobody
I've
wants
ex-
to.
I mean, I've accepted that with love, pain might be there might be an opportunity for pain. You
Right.
wouldn't know. I said in the rhyme before, you wouldn't know joy if you never had stress,
Right.
and it comes with the territory. You wouldn't know, like for example, what I was just saying earlier of that person who I was in, my ex. When I opened up at a time when we were disconnected and propose, and that's the reason. That's one of the reasons why she didn't accept the proposal, because she was too far gone with, resentment and or her other feelings. But I'm like, yo, this is the first time I actually feel I can 100% trust you in our 10 years of a relationship, because you're saying things again. She said things that I did not want to hear, and she openly and willingly shared this information with me. And I was like, man, that's what I need to know. I know it wasn't something I like to hear. No, it wasn't the most pleasant thing. No, it wasn't something that I even accept or that I condone. But the fact that you was able to tell me made me respect you a lot more.
Wow.
And that's what I
So
miss.
when the lady was, I lost my thought. So when the lady was, Casey, she had made a point about how, okay,
You want
you
me to play
tell
it?
the truth. Yeah, you're gonna have to do it. And she says, like, basically, when we say something, you guys can't, um, you don't like how we respond to the truth or something.
I'm gonna play it
Like
back
that.
and you tell me when to stop.
Okay.
Truth, like building a muscle, right? So we talk about how the overwhelming majority of women can't handle the truth. They live in their own delusion, their own perceived reality. Okay, I will concede to all of that. But how do we get women to a place of being able to handle the truth better if the truth isn't told to them? We already know they're not going to handle it, right? So we know this. But in
What
order to then change that, do we not have to build that muscle?
what you
And we only
said,
build that muscle by working it out,
what you
right?
just said is part of the problem. We got to change that narrative of accepting it as normal. We have to be
Right, but I said that 40 minutes ago and y'all told me I was
no,
crazy.
no. But what I'm saying is, the normal point of you saying, "Oh, that's just how women are." No, that's
No,
what.
I said that to lead into my
Right.
question, right? Because most people will say the reason I don't tell women the truth is because women can't handle it, right? So I was just kind of putting the elephant in the room out there. I think that most women can't handle it because one, we operate in not wanting to know, and men also coddle us in that, in a sense.
And to your point, that was the point that I was making earlier, as far as men being able to do it and exercising. A lot of men conveniently don't want to do it because they just want to manipulate to get into the panties, and they sitting there acting like that is something different than that. They ain't trying to
Yeah,
make you
right
a
here.
wife.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like how you said, like, finally you transition to the point, like you just made a statement, like those men weren't trying to make you a wife. So obviously at a certain point in your life, you weren't trying to make that lady your wife until like way later when you started dealing with
That's
truth a little
that's
bit
that's
better.
not that's not
No?
true.
Okay.
But not my case was that I didn't believe in the institution of marriage. I
Okay,
treated
that's
her as my wife. We lived together. We had a lot of things that, bank accounts, etc. Everything that a husband would do, I took care of the kids. I did. So I just didn't believe in the piece of paper. So it
mhm,
wasn't like, but she did, and she wanted the piece of paper, and I didn't prescribe to that. So it wasn't like I was 10 years and out there chasing my wee wee. And no, I was very adamant, and I was in that
mhm,
relationship as a husband without the paper. So that was the difference. So but that disconnected us for a lot of reasons that I've learned since, because she really wanted that, and I understand it now. I understand the importance of
yeah,
it, and that's why I say I
mhm,
used to be an advocate of that. So that wasn't the case. I wasn't out there just stringing her along like a lot of men, they say and they accuse. That wasn't my intent. I wasn't messing with nobody else. I didn't have up until the point of where I said we're disconnected. and
Mhm.
she didn't respond. We were very at that point distant, like laying in the same bed but in two different worlds. And
Do
when I
you think,
brought
like, you didn't, like, take it to that next level, like, maybe on paper, that was the main part of it? Or just
No, not at that time. Not at that
okay,
time. Not There was some other
okay,
things that was forging wedges in our relationship
okay,
outside of us, to be honest with you. There was
got
some
it.
stresses that life components in life that were taking place that really forged a wedge in our relationship
Which
deeper. And part of it was was my responsibility and fault. And I didn't address it properly. So, but it
right,
had nothing to do with infidelity. It had nothing to do with the piece of paper.
mhm,
It had a lot more to do with some outside entities, some other stresses that I invited into our life
right,
that possibly shouldn't have. Family issues and things of that
yeah,
nature that I was tending to that perhaps shouldn't have. I could have addressed it a little differently. Let's just say that,
mhm,
not to get into it, but the point was is that, yeah, not to get into the details, but the point is that there were other entities that caused that distance. And in
okay,
hindsight, I realized that those are the things that caused us to be astray. So when I'm talking that I proposed finally, it was years after that
mhm,
incident of when I went out, and we would actually openly separate at the time when I proposed. She was well able to deal with whoever she was, and she was had some interest, and I was able to deal with whoever I wanted, and I had some interest. But her opening up after a long time and periods of knowing each other really was that stamp of approval of where I fully felt that I could trust her. I didn't There was too many times where I found things out.
mhm,
She never lied, but she admitted some of the truths. And that people will argue that that's lying, and I can make the same argument. But the point is that that helped me not really be able to fully trust. So then when we were separated, she was able to tell me about relationships and things that she felt in the relationships and while she was out there, and I was able to share the same. That to me grew me closer. And that is what encouraged me to want to say, yo, let's just do this.
if she would have expressed those things, I mean, I know men and they have their egos and things like that. Do you feel that if you guys would have expressed, or her on her part would have expressed honesties sooner, would that have helped you then? Or would you have still had the same mindset regarding, um
Again, part of the issue was that
I mean,
she
like,
always
coming up to the light of the truth, like you saying, stuff like
part of
that with that.
part of the issue, and this is why I embrace this saying hot that the real precious share with us, because honest, open, and transparent, she was always
Mhm,
honest. I
mhm,
didn't realize how much I needed openness and transparency,
mm,
and that's why I embraced that so thoroughly, is because that was the first time that I got openness and transparency. I had the honesty. She never lied to me, but when I found things out, she would tell me after. I would be like, yo, what's up with this? Then
mm.
she'll be like, "Well, this is," and explain it, but I'm like, that she wasn't open about. I say, "You could have just told me that. I shouldn't have had to ask you about that." That's that
But
openness and
as you
transparency.
said, if we come out and say it, right? And like you just said, the men did just sometimes men can't handle you being hot, right?
True.
Is it better to curb it and tell you some of it? Because I know if I tell Sean that I took his Rolex and I dropped it and one of the diamonds fell out because I was playing tic tac toe, but I'll say the cat bumped into the table and did it. You know what I'm saying? Like that. So I didn't tell him that I was playing with the thing, twirling it on a pen, but if I curbed it, would that make the situation better, or that person just isn't for you even though you told the truth? Like, why does it break down after the truth?
The truth. Can you handle the truth? First off,
Mhm.
um, a lot of people can't handle the truth. Let's be
Mhm.
truthful about it.
Right.
I personally don't mind. I would rather, because I can accept that mistakes. I can accept imperfections. I can accept um, immaturity. I can accept a lot of things that I probably will have the same, and I would expect you to accept it as well. But the point is, if you're honest about it, that's the only way we can resolve it.
Right.
If we keep on disguising it, dismissing it, trying to avoid it, we continue the cycle. So that cycle of her being like you being afraid or her being afraid of telling me because it's not because of me, it's because of your past relationship that of somebody who couldn't take it, and now you're apprehensive or skeptical because of that. It has
Mhm.
nothing to do with me. And so you're bringing that into our relationship, which is why the cycle continues.
Right.
Because you're unhealed from the fact of they made you afraid to tell the truth. Really,
Right.
the only reason why a person lies, in my opinion, is because they're afraid.
Right.
And this is the one thing that men don't like to accept. They don't like to accept that they're afraid. I know gangsters, killers that sit there, literally got the whole block on lock and got to go home and lie to their woman. Oh, baby, I was over here with. And I'm like, yo, what happened to this treacherous killer? The whole hood is scared of him, and he's scared to go tell his girl the truth. Seriously, this
Mhm.
is like true. Like, you scared, you can't even tell the truth in your household, but yet you are the most treacherous thing out there. Nobody better not say the a lie to you. Better not mess with your money. Better not do nothing because you are
Uh-huh.
going to
That
handle it.
money.
Now, this is what dumbfounds me when it comes to people, men specifically. Call me a panderer because I'm addressing this.
Mhm.
You're the biggest, most baddest, ruthless person, well-respected person, but you gotta go home and lie to your wife or to your
Mhm.
girl. Help me understand that. And the funny thing is, men condone it. They understand it. Like, yeah, we had to do what we had to do. I can't be telling. And I'm like,
Yeah, the bro code. So there's a sisterhood and there's a brother code too.
yeah. And that's fine when you're not married and in a relationship.
Okay.
Stay
Okay.
single. Stay
Right.
single. That's what I tell the brothers. Stay single. If
You
you
heard
under
that
that
right.
much pressure, absolutely stay single. If you got to be on a bro code, then stay single. If you got to go on a girl's trip, a guy's trip, and I'm not saying that is, but a lot of times that's just an invite to be unruly and careless.
Mhm.
That's
I was listening to one of the girls today. I follow her. We follow each other. She's still married, and she's been married a long time. I don't know, maybe it's over 20 years. And I like how she stated, she was saying, like, sometimes the good people that actually know how to behave and not turn up, as they say, we get all grouped into that. And like, some people are reserved, even though their friends are off the chain. I'm one of those people. Like, my friends, they're like, "Oh, remember, girl, we did this." I'm like, "Man, wow, it sounds so fun," but given in the situation that I was there, I would feel uncomfortable. I don't drink, I don't smoke. A lot of people around me, they drink, they smoke. Stephanie, try this, try that. I don't really like that. So I'm kind of like, the bum of the party, but I can go in those situations and not drop my principles and standards to fit in, you know, but I still enjoy hanging out with my friends because I love my friends and enjoy my friends, but I still am reserved in my own personal
And I can
governance.
understand that. I can understand that. And that's called trusting your significant other.
Right.
And I'm not entirely opposed, but I do question, okay, so what is the point of going out with these wild people that you don't have anything in common with,
Hmm.
just for the exhilaration of it all? Okay, why can't you have that exhilaration with your significant other?
Oh yeah, trust me, that would definitely be my first choice. But I made a statement like I would if I got, in a relationship, I'd rather have a girls' night out versus a girls' trip. Like at least I could stay local. I can go
Hmm.
back home because I have my children, I have my responsibilities. And I think husbands are, wouldn't mind that. But I mean, still, you gotta, check in, make sure, you report back and forth because you have a responsibility and you're not just by yourself anymore. Like you said, if you're gonna act crazy, just stay single. But I want to be respectful so that he knows that he can trust me and like, okay, my wife is cool. She ain't out here like her friends are crazy, and until the point where he sees that I don't want you hanging out with it no more, then I won't be able to do that anymore.
Well, the whole thing is, he shouldn't have to see it to the point that I was
Right.
making in
Exactly.
reference to finding out.
Hmm.
You should already brought it to his attention. Look, yo, they was wilding out. They was giving head to people. The
Oh,
strippers came over, and next thing I did, I turned around and I know she married, but her mouth didn't say that she was married that night. I don't know.
mm-mm.
These are things that happen that and bro code the same way. I be
Right.
seeing some. I'm like, yo, ain't you married? What's the point of out there
Mhm.
just can't de-discipline? That was the other thing. I had a video that I sent to you about de-discipline, and the guy made a valid point in reference to you first have to have rules to be able to exercise discipline. And he said that some of the rules were in the past, women needed to take care of women need to bring the guy over
Right.
to the
From
father.
Trigger Mike. Yeah.
Right,
Hmm.
the Trigger Mike show. Big up to Trigger Mike.
Trigger
Um,
Mike.
so he made a valid point, but the point that I didn't agree with, or that I would elaborate it on, is while that's not discipline when you're just following a rule. That's following a
Right.
rule, even though following a rule can sometimes display discipline, yes.
Hmm.
But when there are no rules and you're following and you're being disciplined in what you valuing, then
Hmm.
it doesn't apply. That's why he said discipline is a myth. Nah, it's really not. It's just that if you're just a rule, as he said, a rule follower, yeah, that's
Right.
different. But when you can, like, that's why I never defined relationships when I was in them, because I didn't want to restrict nobody. I want you to feel like I didn't want you to be there because you felt obligated, you needed to be because of our situation. I want you to be there because that's what you chose to be. And if you chose to be somewhere else, I want you to be brave enough to be able to say that, honest enough to be able to say that. Yo, you know what? I'm not feeling. And when the person who I proposed to was brave enough to be able to say that, that's what turned me. That's where I was like, okay, because you told me stuff that you didn't even have to tell me. And I appreciate that. But a lot of people ain't built like me, so I'm not saying that this works for everybody. But problem is those who it don't work for usually are in horrible relationships.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
when they do find something out, because they didn't do proper vetting or they didn't want to hear the truth, so the man just listened. He just listened to you. You said, if you're gonna do it, we've all heard this. If you're gonna do it, just don't be sloppy. What are you telling them? Okay, just lie to you. All right, no problem.
Right.
Just make sure I bring you home money and or don't tell you nothing. When you ask me, just nah, wasn't me. I don't know what you're talking about. I ain't got nobody pregnant. I don't know what you're
It
talking about.
wasn't
I don't
me.
even.
It wasn't
Yeah,
me.
Exactly. They got a whole song behind this lie concept. But
I'm sorry.
I
See,
mean,
they
but
got
the
a song for all of our troubles.
yeah, all of our traumas. But the funny thing
Yeah.
is, I'm looking for resolutions. This is why I have straight talk,
Right.
is so that I can really, have these conversations and really get it out there. Why are we sitting here being phony, inconsiderate, and selfish if we're in a relationship? If
Mm,
you be all of
right.
those things, be it by yourself.
Right.
You can still get everything, a lot of things you want. You might not get everything you want, but you can still get a lot of things you want. You can still get pennies or the D. You can
Mm-hmm.
still get
Right.
people to take you out and spend on
Right.
you and flourish you with gifts and things of that nature. You can still get flown out, flued out. You could still get um, spontaneous, exciting, exhilarating sex. You
Wow.
could still get a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
What you can't get is everyone, and that's fine. Because the problem is you want everyone. You're being greedy. And when you have that in your nature, somebody has to suffer.
Right. Exactly.
And the cycle continues. So we're
Hmm.
gonna leave it there. We're about 12 minutes past the hour. I
Okay.
want to thank you for joining me and having this
Course.
conversation with me.
Yeah,
Uh,
most definitely.
look out for the Real School Podcast on Instagram, y'all. I need y'all to
You
follow.
mixing me with Precious.
Huh?
I said you mixing me with Precious. You said the real school.
Oh, I did. I'm sorry. The Wife School. I'm sorry.
It's
The
so
Wife School
sweet.
Podcast. And I'm sitting there reading it as I'm saying it. Oh boy.
I got some of the wives club house. I got so many. Like it's so funny, but it's fine.
So everybody, I want you to. I hope you can rewind this, look at some of the footage, and if you have any questions, DM me or uh, Stephanie at the Wife School Podcast on IG
Mhm.
and other platforms, and let us know what questions you have. Next week, straight talk, leads to straight understanding. We are going to discuss some other things. Not sure the topic just yet, but we might just elaborate further on the truth, especially if you have questions about it. Because can you handle the truth? I still don't think we dug in deep enough.
Yeah,
Uh, and quite frankly, I don't think that many people can handle the truth like they say they do. And that's my truth, you know.
I agree.
So
I
when we
agree.
can handle the truth, both men and women, and we meet somebody who can handle the truth, we will truly have a great relationship.
Right. I know you're ending your show, but like it's you, I and Carl were talking about how we go along in our life, but then we meet our match that exposes us, that holds that mirror up, and it's like, wow, this is crazy. But like you said, either we're gonna go with it or run away from the truth.
Right. And the funny thing is, and as I said when Carl was there, what match did you meet? Did you meet the
Mm,
match of your manipulative side, or did you meet the match of your honorable side?
mm,
Usually we meet our match of our manipulative side,
right.
and they beat us in manipulation. And women specifically, I'm talking to you ladies, you get bamboozled because you meet your match, the person you like, I don't care, and then the person comes and shuts that down, and you are putty to him, but you're putty to the wrong person
Mm-hmm.
because you met your match in manipulation, and they outmaneuvered you and outmanipulated you, and now they got you in the putty state, and you're gonna wind up getting out of that putty state hurt.
Mm-hmm. And when a
Disgust.
nice young gentleman comes along that proposes to you, you still are apprehensive, as we
Yeah, you're
saw
gonna be
in real
very
time.
apprehensive, because you haven't been healed.
Right.
And that's the thing. It's fine to be with somebody who's unhealed if in fact they are aware that they're unhealed and they're taking the steps to get healed.
Right.
Well,
I listened to April Mason one day, and it was kind of true, like how you're saying, like if you can heal by yourself, but if somebody, is kind enough to, see that, okay, Stephanie's cool. She's not really a bad person. She's just going through this, little hard phase. Sometimes people will heal with you, or be there with you, and like don't necessarily turn them, away. I mean, it could be a gentleman, it could be, a friend or things like that. Like you don't have to do the healing by yourself sometimes because you'll get stuck. You can get stuck for like years, and then the opportunity pass you by of that person that was willing to kind of, you know, help you through that
work
because
with
they see you actively are healing. It's not like they're just being, enabling to you and like petting you, but like she's doing the work. So I can work with that kind of.
And the funny thing is that if you're open enough, they can help you work it out.
Yeah, they
Problem
can.
is, a lot of times you're so guarded, and that's not just women that I'm speaking of, because men are very guarded too. Men are
Hmm.
very guarded, want to see their woman. Unless you have a virgin, your woman has been with another man. Let's just
Right,
be clear. No matter how you want to sit there, she has been and has probably done anything that you can think that to do with another man. This is
exactly.
why, to me, when I get with the girls' trips, things of that nature,
My girls trip outfit on. All right, I've done everything.
yeah, why
Okay.
I'm like, yeah, this is why I feel about the girls' trip, because to me, you're creating a memory that you could create with your significant other. You're going to a place and going that you can have as a memory with one another. And I'm again not opposed, but if you're going to like if you go to a place that you already been, all right, whatever. But if you're going to new place, oh, we can go to an exotic island, and you haven't been there, or your man or your significant other hasn't been there, but you're thinking to go with your friends as opposed to your significant other and have that memory with them, your mind probably just isn't in the right place.
Right.
Your mind
You're
is too
susceptible.
right.
Most definitely. I've seen this happen. Um, I know. I don't know. I've just seen things. And a guy I used to work with, his wife, he, excellent young gentleman, knew how to save his money, financially sound. Um, got with his wife. I seen her picture, and I was like, ooh. Well, she wasn't hot, but I was like, wow, he's not into looks. I guess he's into personality. She must be a good person. So I was like, okay, cool. So, oh, and they went on trips. They went to Paris. He bought her Louis Vuitton bag overseas. I'm like, well, daggone it, where they make those guys at? Nice young man. His wife was adamant about going on a trip with some friends. He didn't want her to go. And so she begged and begged. He said that she begged so much that I said, okay, go ahead. She fooled around when she went out of town. And he found out some way, and that just tore up everything. And all that, he had did for her all went out the window. And she didn't know that he had put money aside and was having a putting up a nest egg for a down payment for a house. So it's like she gave all that up. A good person, a nice provider, a young guy under 30, that built himself up, that loved you, um, in so many ways, and you just have the whole world and you give it up for whatever. You know what I'm saying? And so that was her loss. And he moved on and he got a better. nice wife. They got a little baby, and I say, "Oh, that's my nephew." So it's like we
Man,
can
God bless
have
them.
something so good and fumble it. Yeah.
Well, women fumble all the time. We won't even get into that. That's a
I
whole
fumbled.
nother.
I fumbled. I ain't gonna lie.
Women fumble all the time. I can't say that I fumbled, unfortunately, because I've never been. Um, I've always honored relationships.
Hmm.
So I've never been that man that had to go out there and chase his D, and I just never been there. And I had plenty of opportunities. I probably turned down more pay than a lot of men get. Um, Simply because to me, complex design just said it's about soul ties. Um, it's about soul ties. A lot of women carry soul ties to past men and use girls' trips as a means to maintain those ties. And you're absolutely right. But it goes back to this: when in fact the stigma of the girls' trips is and guys' trips is
Hmm.
that you
When are we going to talk about guys' trips? But you can't say, some people, they say you can't say it's not the same thing. That's why I brought up D discipline and P discipline. Like why can't we just all both refrain from it? Maybe we would
who
have a
says
better
who
dating.
says it's not. Let me guess. A man says it's not the same thing.
Yes, a man says it's not. We're gonna have to talk about that, Sean. That's why I brought it up because I'm like, they say that a man, he sleeps with all these women, he gets all this experience, and so a girl wants to be with a man that's experienced, not a man that doesn't know anything. And I'm like, well, if they both didn't know anything and they preserve themselves, that will be a bond that they create, and like they wouldn't have nothing to compare it to. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like,
You, you
ugh.
know men. Men are master manipulators, pimps, and smooth talkers, right?
Yeah.
And those people who they talk to are usually the hoes, victims, and or pieces of sex that they're able to talk their ways into. And I don't
Mhm.
understand why you women don't get that. We've been doing it for a long time.
So you're validating Princella.
Am I valid? I don't know Princella. I heard of her, but I don't really. What's her position?
She says that men are incapable of love and that they manipulate. They only want sex and what you
Uh,
just labeled. So
Well,
you
well,
do some research now because it's like,
am I validating her? No, because men do want love. Just a lot of men who don't, they go ahead and use that as their excuse, as their crutch,
mm,
instead of just saying, I don't want it. Instead of just saying, I want to be a bachelor. Men want their cake and eat it too, but they don't like to say that. Just like women want their cake and eat it too. They don't like to say it. But the
right.
point is,
Mm,
being honest, truth. This is what we're talking about today. Today's topic is: can you handle the truth? The truth, the whole truth,
mhm.
and nothing but the truth. That's what we're talking about right now. And the issue is that a lot of people, men and women both, don't like the truth because, quite frankly, it puts them in a vulnerable position. One, they're afraid that they're not going to get their way. Two, and they just want it easier. Three. And all of those reasons are the reasons why they go ahead and lie and try and manipulate their way into things and then blame the other person when the manipulation takes place because they don't want to take the accountability of the person who was dishonest and was just trying to get theirs, sneaky links or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And that goes to both genders. I've
Right.
seen
And then
men
they turn around and become a savage. All and then we just keep perpetuating.
well, if you got to sit there and hide, you were already a savage. You just didn't want
Mhm,
to admit it. You've been a savage since you was a little kid when they taught you to be a savage.
mhm.
And that's the problem. We don't like to, men don't like to admit when they're savages. They like to act and condone savagery when it
But
comes
isn't
to
that
women.
masculine? Shouldn't a man take and be assertive and be dominant?
And he can
Keep
do
the
he
woman
can do
to the
all of
cave
that.
by her hair.
He can do all that. He can do all of that honestly. Look like he was getting turned on, but we won't go into that. But he could be doing all of that honestly, and you see how you just got turned on by it. Yeah, he can do
Um,
that. I know a lot of women who want that, but the problem is that
mhm.
segues into other things and other behaviors. You know,
The
I know a
dysfunction,
lot of women
as you were
who
talking about.
who I had to, been in intimate relationships with, and they wanted that. And I
Mhm.
realized that it was fun when it was initiated, but it's too many rules that you got to follow. That segues into abuse. That segues
Mhm.
into a lot of things that women enjoy sometimes. They enjoy being abused, which is the thing that I'm confused with. Like take it, but then um
Mhm.
but conveniently. It's like, yo, it's that's a whole nother direction and scenario. But I've had beautiful women, and to me, it's just that they have been abused or they've been the R word or craped or whatever, and I think that segued into the guilt of they might have enjoyed like certain aspects of it, and then it turned them and it screwed up their mind. Like, oh man, we won't even go into that. The most dominant men in society don't look like they are. Um, Possibly, I can understand that.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I see your wow today. But
Mhm.
yeah, that's like I said, a whole nother topic, on why people do that psychologically and why I have a lot of theories and opinions on it. Stats might show otherwise, statistics might show otherwise, but that's
Mhm.
a whole topic. But I the topic of today was truth and honesty, and I just urge everybody to be honest, be truthful. I've been, but problem is not many people can handle the truth, and that's what we got to start addressing. Can you handle the truth? Men, can you handle the truth? Women, can you handle the truth? Truth is most of you can't. That's the truth. And you want to act like you can. Or you don't want to act like you can. You want to out of sight, out of mind. If I don't know, it
Mhm.
won't hurt.
Right.
But when you find out, it screws you
Mhm.
up. It traumatizes you, and you don't hardly, or you probably won't ever get over it. Hence why we have so many depleted relationships right now because we can't trust each other. We've learned not to.
Mhm.
We learned not to be able to trust the truth because people, when they hear it, the other person reacts in a way that is dramatic, which adds trauma to the other person, and hence the cycle continues because now they ain't ever gonna tell the truth again. Now they ain't ever gonna go through that type of circumstances. Meanwhile, they find somebody like me, I just describe as myself, who enjoys it, and then but they're afraid to do it because they're bringing baggage of their own. But that's where we're in, only because we're out of time. But I want to continue this conversation so badly. You know, a relationship can't be built on lies. Actually, complex design, it actually can. A lot of relationships are built on lies because people like to hear lies. A lot of businesses are built on lies because people like to hear what they want to hear. Truth is, and it's successful for a time, can be successful for a long time. Politics prove it. Politicians lie all the time and have much success with it, build great careers and legacy, all of that on lies. So that's not entirely true. The truth is, yeah, it can work. You just got to put it in the right place. So you got to, but if you want a pure spiritual loving relationship, not a transactional relationship, you probably want to reevaluate having lies in that relationship. The truth is always revealed. I would love to believe that too. Uh, as Complex Design said, I would love to believe that the truth is always revealed. And at times it's true, but not always. Not always. People die. People take stuff to the grave. We heard that story. That ain't just a saying. It would never be certain things that the truth will be revealed on. Certain things that will never be revealed. So, that's what helps people accept lies, is by believing that the truth will always be revealed. So they just wait, and sometimes, nah, it's not always revealed.
Oh yeah,
Sometimes.
tell about how the truth wasn't revealed to you by grown folks, but it was revealed to you by a little baby.
Yeah, I was on a cruise, right? And I was around five different adults, right? We were sitting there having a conversation. I picked up a 2-year-old, right? And I'm sitting there talking with them, and she went, "Hey, your breath stinks." And I'm sitting there like, yo, I got all these grown folks who refuse to tell me, had to have smelled it. Because it didn't take her long. It took her all of 2 seconds to just get close. Her face, your breath stink. And I'm sitting there talking to all of these grown folks, and not one of them told me my breath smelled.
Hmm.
Early morning, in fairness, we had just woken up. But the point is that we start trying to be politically correct instead of honest.
Right.
Hey, what's up, Tree?
Yeah.
So
I know you're leaving, but I did get hit with a lot of political correctness when, just telling people like I admire Kevin Samuels. A lot of people, they don't like listening to him, but if you volunteered your body to call in to be evaluated by a man that you know is going to tell you directly what he sees in front of him, and you have a problem with that, that's bad. You know what I'm saying? But you volunteered yourself for it. And if he called you, okay, you're obese, but he used data, he used stats. He said, well, if you have a body percentage of this percent, that's the category you fit in. And that's not me telling you any different than what a doctor would tell you if you get on the
most of
scale. You
those,
know what I'm saying? But
most
the
of those,
lady was like, you better tell, you can't say everything you want. Oh, I know you can't say everything you want, but if we have to play catch up and we don't have time to baby everyone, I have
you
to
rewind
be.
a little. Why can't you say everything you want?
What do you mean?
I don't know. You just said you can't say everything you want. What do you mean?
No, I'm
Or
saying we don't have time to coddle everybody. So I
well,
have to
I don't
come
think
out
we
and say,
should
you
coddle
have to be
anybody.
direct. Say it again.
I said I don't think we should coddle anybody, but I'm learning, there are gentle ways to express it. The problem is the truth when it's not wanted.
Hmm.
It don't how it's presented. The
Well,
truth
okay,
is.
say if like I talk to you, right,
Mhm.
and I'm not combative, then you know that I'm receptive. But if I talk to you and I'm combative, now I have to deal with you in that way. It just, there's no other way to do it.
I mean,
You
that's
know.
that's that's a fair assessment, but it's not.
Hmm.
I don't mind combativeness.
Hmm.
I mind stubbornness and ignorance.
All
You can
that.
be combative. You can be combative, but this is the thing. You can be. I'm sorry, not combative. I don't mind confrontation,
Okay.
but the confrontation, to your point, should not be combative.
Right.
And combativeness comes with stubbornness or ignorance often, and that's
Okay.
what it is. So yeah, I don't really attest to that. So before we get off, because I'm going to play, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. This is Straight Talk, Lisa Straight Understanding. We're going to end with this, the video that we played today of our brief parts of our conversations. If you want to see the full conversation, by all means, you need to go to at the Wife School Podcast on Instagram, and you can find the full conversation that we had. It was a very good conversation. Yeah, it was an hour long, and it was a very good conversation. Peace, complex design, and but we're going to leave it with the ending of the conversation, and we're ending before we continued it. So, thank you again for joining me, Stephanie. I really always appreciate your insight, your perspective, and it still goes down, ladies and gentlemen. The topic of today was the truth. Can you handle the truth? So, with that being said, here's the last video, and I hope that you all have a great evening and that you all have a blessed.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Make you something or honorable, and that they used to call it back in the day. They're trying to get in your pants.
I'm sorry, I'm going to start it over so that you can see the whole thing in its totality and you enjoy it. And the topic is, can you handle the truth? Do you want to hear the truth? All right, talk to you soon.
Into that. So yes, you're right. They're not.
And that's fine.
It's truth like building a muscle, right? So we talk about how the overwhelming majority of women can't handle the truth. They live in their own delusion, their own perceived reality. Okay, I will concede to all of that. But how do we get women to a place of being able to handle the truth better if the truth isn't told to them? We already know they're not going to handle it, right? So we know this. But in order to then change that, do we not have to build that muscle? And we only build that muscle by working it out,
what
right?
you just said is part of the problem. We got to change that narrative of accepting it as normal. We have to.
Right, but I said that 40 minutes ago and y'all told me I was crazy.
No, but what I'm saying is the normal point of you saying, oh, that's just that's just how women are. No, that's
no. I said that to lead into my question, right? Because most people will say the reason I don't tell women the truth is because women can't handle it, right? So I was just kind of putting the elephant in the room out there. I think that most women can't handle it because, one, we operate in not wanting to know, and men also coddle us in that, in a sense.
And to your point, that was the point that I was making earlier, as far as men being able to do it and exercising. A lot of men conveniently don't want to do it because they just want to manipulate to get into the panties, and they sitting there acting like that is something different than that. They ain't trying to make you a wife. They're not trying to make you something or honorable, in that they used to call it back in the day. They're trying to get in your panties, and they ain't admitting to that. So yes, you're right. They're not coddling to it. They're just manipulating you, and you're falling for the manipulation because they know your weakness and they're using it against you.
Okay, so who wins first? I ask this question in every room I'm in because at some point somebody is going to have to make a move first. So is it men or is it women? Who's going to be first?
I think that we both make. I think men are making moves, but when we're making the moves, y'all not moving with us.
Right.
Y'all back to people. I'm trying to share with you. We're blunt and honest, and that's a move that we're making, to be blunt and honest with you, and you don't like that.
But I would
also
venture to say that y'all don't like the response given either.
Again,
right? Because you're being blunt, you're being honest, and then you want us to meet you with logic.
You're right, because the response is immature emotionally, and it's reckless. So change that response. We're being honest with you. Learn how to, as you said, it might be a muscle, might take some practice, but learn how to control your emotions. We have to do it. Learn how to control your emotions.
I'm controlling of mine right now, so I'm gonna.
That's good. That's where it starts. I've just heard so many times that the men say that, sometimes we have to listen to understand, and sometimes that, I don't know, I guess we want to micromanage things or micromanage men, but like all the things that Sean has said and Blue has said, it's like they understand from a man's perspective, so we can't discount what they say because go ahead, love.
No, I'm saying I agree. I agree
Yeah.
with you.
So it's hard for us to swallow that pill, but that's just our emotional side welling up inside of us. And we haven't tapped so much into the logical side. That's why I love surrounding myself with men that have wisdom, and not just any man, good quality men that can give you insight and it helps you navigate better. Even if you found a man and you guys got together, whatever, just because you have quality men around you, you know how to talk to men better, you know how to operate, you know how to respect better. And the things that they say, you may think that, okay, he's not really saying it in that way, but okay, let me listen, then I have to process it and then come back with a response, but not a reaction. You know what I'm saying? So now I know how to, actualize the truth that he just spoke, even though it was direct, even though I didn't like what he said, but I can come back in a respectful manner and still give that man the respect that he is looking and seeking for. You know what I'm saying? Instead of the emotional response that we tend to lean on.
Agree. I think, we have to do more of that. Like when I think about like my own, dating situation, like when I meet it with logic, because they're not used to it, it's like, ooh, I don't know what to do with this. She's not coming at me all with the rah-rah. I don't know what to do with this. And so for me, it still leaves me kind of at the precarious situation of, but I'm doing all the things that men have said they want women to do. And yet it's still like, oh, well, hold on, I don't trust it. So for as much as they want us to trust them, it's like, when is it reciprocated?
Okay. Hold on. I only got 20 seconds. Do you guys mind coming back and discussing that reciprocation?
I'll let somebody else cam up, but I'll be in the comments.